Yogah Karmasu Kaushalam.
So now let's understand what is the process of strategy implementation. So when we are saying process of strategy implementation, it is referring to building an organization that possesses of the capability to put the strategies into action successfully. That means, first of all, it is important to build the organization that possesses of the capability to put the real action and the real strategies into action, right? And the second is supplying the resources in the sufficient quantity to strategy essential activities. Friends, when you want to supply the resources in sufficient quantity, then and then you would be able to develop the strategy well, right? If there is no resources available or if there are less resources available, not as per the quality and the quantity, then it will be very, very difficult to formulate those type of strategies. Next is developing policies which encourage strategy. Now here also very, very important is to develop the policies which is really encouraging the strategy. That is, which is really motivating the management to prepare a strategy as per the direction. So if the policies and the procedure developed is better and to the point, then it leads to encourage the strategy. Now, such policies and the programs are employed, which helps in a continuous improvement. We have seen that strategy implementation is a continuous process. We are trying to take a feedback. We are trying to evaluate. We are trying to look into deviation, if any, and we are trying to change wherever it is required. Next is combining the reward structure for achieving the result. So many times, what happens is if the reward structure is not combined, then the results would not be achieved. So if your education institution is talking about, say, excellence in research, okay, or this 5 years you want to excel in the research, then what would be the reward for that? What would be the policies that you have framed so that people feel motivated to do the research, okay, and to achieve the results? So you need to link each and everything you are doing with a reward structure. You need to combine that, otherwise it would not give 100% results. And lastly, using strategic leadership. Now, it is again very, very important thing when we are saying strategic leadership. We are talking about the way in which you have established the strategies or the plan to grow more, to go ahead with the leadership of your organization. And so, for that matter, using strategic leadership is very, very important. So that was the process of strategy implementation. Now let us look into prerequisites of strategy implementation. So friends, when we are saying prerequisites, the first is institutionalization of strategy. Now, what do you mean by institutionalization of the strategy? In the sense that the one who framed it should promote or defend in front of the members because it may be undermined. What do I mean by institutionalization of the strategy? It means that it should be supported by the people in the organization. And once you have made and then you are gone, it should not be like that. It should be institutionalized. It should be framed and it should be promoted and it should be defended by not only you but also the other members and in front of the members. So that is the institutionalization, because once the members are convinced, then somewhere or the other way you are going to succeed. Second is developing proper organizational climate. So organizational climate here means the components of the internal environment. Now that includes personal cooperation, development of the people, degree of commitment, determination, efficiency, which converts the purpose into results. Friends, it is very, very important aspect many a times, even if you have a better infrastructure, even if you have a better teaching and a non-teaching staff, even if you have everything available, there is no funding problem, everything is fine, but there is no organizational climate properly, then it would lead to failure. So, very important is to have a cooperation, to have a coordination, to have a feeling and motivation of the development of the people, and a degree of commitment and the loyalty from among the employees is very much expected. And so, the second prerequisite for the strategy implementation is having a better, proper organizational climate. Even if you format the best strategy compared to the other institution, but if the climate and the culture of the organization is not good, you're not going to succeed. The third is formulation of the operating plans. Now, friends, what happens is strategy when you are framing, it is all long term strategy that we are looking into. But for achieving that long term strategy, which are the operational plan, what are the regular plans, what are the regular decisions, what are the programs that you should do, what is the different parts that you have to take care of while taking the operations or while running the operation, so that you can achieve the objectives of the organization. So that is again a prerequisite. Next is develop a proper organizational structure. Friend, organization structure we know from top to bottom. We are trying to look into the different parts of the organization that are linked together. So, organization structure highlights the relationship between various designations, positions, and roles. So, to have a better implementation of the strategy, the structure needs to be designed as per the requirement of the strategy. Whatever may be the requirement, accordingly, you should frame the structure, or you should frame the strategy in line with the organization structure. Because if there is a proper organization structure, definitely the strategy is going to succeed and the organization is going to succeed. Next is periodic review of the strategy. Friends, review of the strategy, right? It is to be taken at a regular intervals, and so to identify whether the strategy implemented is relevant to the purpose of the organization, as the organization operates in a dynamic environment which may change anytime. We know that every time, if the situation changes, the demand changes, the scenario changes, the people's expectation changes, their preferences changes, so everything go on changing. We need to look into periodic review of the strategy that we have formulated, because the environment is not stagnant, the things are not as it is, and as per the requirement, if we do not change in the strategy, we may fail tomorrow. So it is important to have a periodic review of whatever plans you have prepared, either it is a long term or it is a short term plan. And lastly, even the best formulated strategies may fail if they are not properly implemented in appropriate manner. So it should keep in mind that there should be alignment between the strategy and other elements in the organization, like resource allocation, organizational structure, work climate, culture, process and reward structure, right? Then only the effective implementation is possible, right? So these are the aspects that are the prerequisites for the strategy implementation. Now, let us look into the aspects for the strategy implementation. So these are again important aspects that one should take care of while strategy implementation. Say, for example, creating budgets which provide sufficient resources to those activities which are relevant to the strategic success of the business or institution and assist in the successful execution of strategies. Another thing is supplying the organization with a skilled and experienced staff. Now, friends, this is very, very important. If you have a skilled staff, if you have a better people, if you have recruited the right person and placed the right person at the right time, at right job, then somewhere or the other way, it would be smoother for you to implement the strategy. Another thing is confirming that policies and procedures of the organization. The strategy that you have formulated, it should be in confirmation with the policies and procedures of the organization. Another thing is leading practices are to be employed for carrying out key business functions. You have to look into that. The leading practices are employed by you for carrying out the functions of your institution. Also, you have to make sure that you have set up information and communication system in a well designed manner that facilitate the workforce of the organization to perform their roles effectively. So if you have set up the information and communication system well, somewhere or the other way, your job of strategy implementation is half done. Believe me, in the organization, if information system is not proper, either from top to down or down to top, then it creates lot of disputes in the organization. So to have a communication system, information system in a better way, that is the prerequisite and that is an important aspect of the strategy implementation. And then developing a favorable work climate and culture for the proper implementation of the strategy. It is very, very important. You have to develop, you have to make sure that the work climate is really proper and it is work oriented. See, if in the system, if in the institution, if everybody is behind achieving work, or everybody is given, their own allocation and a liberty to perform the function or the work, then definitely the system is going to succeed and the climate and culture will definitely help the organization to have better strategy implementation. So, after understanding this strategy formulation and implementation in a better way, now let us try to look into an example. So, here you can look into the example of an institution which is talking about, becoming an epicenter of the education, research, and innovation by creating and disseminating knowledge across the globe, influencing and impacting the better future of the beings. Now, for that, what the organization has done is three important things that has been focused upon. One is infrastructure, second is a funding, and third is a strong governance. Okay, and what is the strategy that the organization has gone for? Right, so they have gone for academic excellence. Now here, if you observe, we are right now talking about the SRM as an institute and SRM university, right? So to have a better strategic planning of the institution, these SRM University has focused upon these four aspects, right? So the first is academic excellence. Now, when we are saying academic excellence, it refers to the students having a wide choice of the cutting edge and a futuristic programs, including, say, for example, artificial intelligence and machine learning, cybersecurity, nanotechnology, bioinformatics, health and the related issues and the related programs, right? Same way, Academically, in any front, the institute wants to achieve the success. So in their strategy, they have emphasized the first aspect, that is academic excellence. The second they have focused upon is research excellence. They said that to be a best, it is necessary to have excellence in the research, and that is why they have set up a directorate of research to coordinate research activities across the universities. Many times, say for example, if you look into the universities nowadays, we have a separate cell called a research and development cell, or say research cell, whereby either irrespective of any department people are working into, in the interdisciplinary framework, they are trying to go for the research. So that is what the this university has focused upon. So the second they have said is a research excellence. The third thing that they have focused upon in their strategy is a talent excellence. Talent excellence here means recruiting the right type of people, right? And right type of people, and then putting or placing them at the right place, which is very, very important. And they have also focused upon the internationalization and the collaborations as a fourth strategy. So what they are trying to do is they are working with more than 100 international universities in the last 5 years, right? So as a universities, they have done the study abroad programs with 35 and more than that foreign universities, and then governance body with the international advisory board, right? So the focus here is on collaborations and the internationalization. And then they've also focused recently on the entrepreneurship and innovation, and operated a different cell for the entrepreneurship and innovation. They are also focusing upon the infrastructure, the funding, diversity, and a meritocracy. Diversity here refers to inclusive approach, whereby you are trying to include everybody to provide the opportunity to the students at a better level, right? And so that you have highest score of inclusivity. So this is an example of one of the private university which is focusing upon the four aspects for the better strategy. So when they have prepared a strategic plan for the coming years, they have for the 15 years, they have focused upon the academic excellence, research excellence, talent recruitment, and collaborations. And for that, they have focused upon the three important aspects, that is excellence, integrity, and academic freedom. Second is global vision and local commitment. So the vision is global. Vision is to going internationalization, but the commitment of the local people. And thirdly, inclusiveness, diversity, and respect, whereby they are including all the people multidisciplinary from different fields. They have offered different programs, and it has led to as a strategic pillar in the era of the private university. So like this is an example of one of the private university. We have taken an example of the Oxford University in one of the session, and like that we can have strategic planning at the institution level, and those institutions can be at the private level or it can be at the public level. So in general, we can say that after looking into this session, it is very, very clear to say that strategy formulation and strategy implementation is a very, very important aspect, right? So you can formulate the strategy well, but if the execution of the plans and execution of the strategies, if it is not done in a better way, then somewhere or the other way, you are going to fail. And for that, we have seen that you need to look into achievement of the strategy. You have to manage the change on a continuous basis. You have to look into the effectiveness and achieving the effectiveness, and for that you have to operationalize the implementation level, and you need to do proper evaluation and control, with the help of which the process of the strategy implementation can be done faster and can be done in a proper way. During the session, we have also seen the process of the strategy implementation, and we have seen the prerequisites of the strategy implementation. We have said that institutionalization of strategy is very important. Developing the proper organizational climate and a culture is very, very important. If your organization has a better climate and a culture, then certainly you are going to have better implementation of the strategy, and your goal, vision, mission is always going to succeed. In addition, we need to formulate the operation plan, we need to develop the proper organization structure, and we need to have a periodic review of the strategy and the implementation plan. In addition, we have also seen the aspects of the strategic implementation that one should consider, and that we have understood with the help of the example of the institutions like SRM University. Like that, at the global level, at the global universities, at the central level, the universities are referring the same, and at the state level universities also, the strategic planning is done. So in nutshell, we can say that strategic planning occupies a great place in the higher education institution. Importantly, once you plan, once you formulate the strategy, there are certain considerations like situation analysis and all the tools and techniques that you can use. You can formulate the strategy well. But importantly, as we said, that even if you have formulated the strategy well, but if you have not implemented it in a better way, due to climate, due to culture, due to any of the, your organization or your institution will not be able to achieve the objective, the goal, vision, and mission. As an educational institution, as a faculty, as a stakeholder of the education sector, we all should try to learn on the basis of these fundamentals. How should we strategize for ourselves? How should we strategize for our department? How should we strategize and act for our university so that we can achieve the better goal of the organization? Because many times what happens is strategic plans are all on paper and nobody knows what actually is specified in that plan, and because of the lack of the communication and the information network, people are not working towards the direction in which it should do so. From the top to bottom level, it is always possible to look into the better strategy planning, better strategy formulation, better strategy management, and better strategic implementation. I hope you are clear by now the fundamentals of the strategy formulation and implementation in the higher education institution. I hope you like the session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Neelam Panchal, for your kind support to this HRDC, for your precious time, and this wonderful lecture. I would like to thank you on behalf of HRDC, Gujarat University, Dr. Neelam Panchal. Thank you so much, and thank you so much all the participants. As we know that the situation of COVID-19, please friends, be careful, stay at home, stay safe, have a wonderful time with your family. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Thank you one and all.